All right, guys, today we have a link building masterclass because we're speaking to Charles Floate. Charles is a BlackHat SEO that started out when he was 12 and he has since dominated the space. In my personal opinion, he's one of the main references in the SEO industry when it comes to backlinks and link building. Hope you guys enjoy. Hey, Charles, how's it going? How are you doing? Good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. I'm just here. It's slowly getting into the evening. It's about 5 p.m. here, so hopefully it doesn't go too dark and I lose all this nice daylight.
Yeah, you're also in Chiang Mai, huh?
Yeah, in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Yeah.
God damn it, everyone is over there. I honestly need to get over there. What do you like most about living over there?
Generally, probably apart from the weather as a Brit, to be fair.
Yeah.
Obviously the sense of community and things and stuff from the SEO industry. And just in general, the ability to, run into SEOs or go for networking events and meeting events and things with other SEOs. The drop of a hat, we always have like WhatsApp and Facebook groups and chats and things and stuff for various stuff. So we're always meeting up, discussing websites, discussing algo updates, discussing new techniques, new businesses, new everything,
Yeah. It feels like a hack to even just live there. It's just not even fair.
Exactly.
Cool. Could you tell us a bit about how you got started? I also want to talk about later about the God of SEO blog, but yeah, just give us a quick intro. I know you started super young.
Yeah, so I actually got started about 15 years ago now. I think
how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 26. I'm nearly 27. So I started when I was literally 12.
Okay.
I was already super into computers and stuff anyway. Generally gaming, I was playing StarCraft from a really young age and stuff. Got pretty good at that. Used to make YouTube videos and stuff on StarCraft and all sorts of things when especially when StarCraft 2 first came out, Wings of Liberty. And then I ended up kind of just transitioning from these gaming forums and stuff into the digital world and things and trying to grow my YouTube channel and things like that. So I'd heard of SEO through that kind of side of things, but I'd never actually done anything. And then my mom and stepdad built a business around the same time, and I kind of witnessed them get scammed essentially by a digital agency. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. So they spent about 30 or 40,000 pounds with a digital agency to build a website, do some like the setup of the PPC, do the setup of the social profiles, all this kind of stuff. It had like eBay and Amazon integration and stuff. So the back end was decent. The only problem was that they way overcharged for it. And then they wanted £8,000 a month for SEO. And this was in 2008 or something when, you could just fire up like spam backlinks and things and stuff. And because they'd done the website build, they essentially had locked down the CMS, locked down the domain, all this kind of stuff. So you couldn't actually get anybody else to do the SEO theoretically, right? So my mom was like, right, we have access to the back end, but it's super limited. See what you can do, and I'll give you £500. I'm not spending £8,000 with these idiots, right? So I'll give you £500. And obviously, as a 12-year-old kid, you're like, whoa, I've got to give him £500. Like, that's insane.
You're rich. Yeah, you're rich.
Yeah, exactly. I'm more than that. I can go on Fiverr and buy everything,
Yeah.
And so I just kind of started looking around. And to be fair, considering my age, I was pretty wise for what I did, and I was pretty what's the word for it? Pretty efficient with my spending. So I would try and book in meetings either via Skype and things like that. And back in those days as well, a lot of the meetings were just like written meetings, so you wouldn't even voice chat because half the people didn't have headsets and things like that and stuff. So I was just a lot of the time messaging these firms on Skype and things, getting advice from them, getting information about the links and getting information about SEO and that kind of stuff, and then implementing it as much as I could on the CMS end. And then from the forums, that's where I would mostly, from like these gaming forums and like gaming hacking forums and all that kind of stuff, I would find these marketplaces. So I don't know if you remember, like forums used to have these marketplaces back in the day, and some of them still do to this day, right? And I found a couple on there a couple generally good services that looked all right. They were like blasting backlinks or whatever, but it was still 2008 and everybody was blasting backlinks basically because that's exactly what worked. So I ended up spending like about half of the budget, about half this £500 with this one gig on this marketplace, on this forum. And the owner of it added me on Skype and was like, damn, dude, you just spent like over $300 with me. Like I've never had anybody order that much stuff. Like, who are you and things. And he called me on Skype, and I like remember him calling me. And for some reason I answered it. And obviously I was 12, so I was like, hello, you know, and things. But the guy on the other end wasn't that much older than me. He was like 15 or something at the time.
What is going on, dude? What is going on?
Yeah, so it was Todd Foster, right? Who is now the owner or the CEO and co-founder of Merged Media in Canada, which is Canada's like second biggest digital agency or something now. And back then, he's actually British, so he was based in Ipswich. He's from Ipswich in the UK, and he was based there at the time. He got on a call with me. He was like, dude, you spent so much money with me. Let me help you with the website. Let me see how these backlinks do for you, and then you can buy more if they do really well. And to be fair, they did. Like they actually ranked phenomenally. And within about 6 months, from some of Todd's help and advice and things, I managed to outrank some of the biggest furniture companies and stuff in the UK with my mom's website. And some of these companies are, $1 billion companies and stuff, right?
Wow.
So she went from doing, like 5 to 10 sales on eBay and things a week, whatever, to doing that every day on this website and stuff. Yeah. So we were just flying with it. And then eventually Panda and Penguin and stuff came along, started slowing us down and things, and had to adapt. The original site just got nuked by Penguin, original kind of Penguin and stuff. So we kind of had to restart from scratch. Then I started doing like Amazon SEO and eBay SEO for the company as well. So just kind of spreading my knowledge out. And eventually I kind of got into just SEO marketing and kind of disrupting the SEO industry in general as much as I can. If I like to call it disruption, if it's not just having some fun for most of the time.
Yeah. So wait, hold on. So the business that your parents ran was a furniture business.
Yeah. So we still run it now.
Okay.
It's just the e-commerce side, and bear in mind the e-commerce side is still doing a couple $1 million a year, right, in sales. But the wholesale side has basically taken over from the retail side. So as of last year, instead of us doing Amazon FBA, Amazon contacts us directly, and we now supply Amazon directly. So we do. They give us designs, and we manufacture their designs in our UK factories and supply them directly, and they just pick up the product and ship it in their warehouse. And that's whilst it's lowered our overall profit per order, it's made us 1,000% more orders or so from them, because they're buying huge quantities at a time and things and stuff. So we've slowly been growing the wholesale side to just expand into new areas and things, and that's just massively overtaken the e-commerce side of things. So the e-commerce is on a bit of a back burner, and even so to the extent that I spend more time working on things like automating the factory and remote operation software for machinery and all of this stuff for actual business stuff than I ever do on the e-commerce side of things these days and things, and kind of the SEO marketing side of that business these days. But I actually own a percentage of that business now. It's just that it's not my business, right? So I always try to have my own SEO consultancy, my own SEO portfolio, my own SEO stuff on top of it as well.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask about all the things that you're doing, but first, if we could talk about the God of SEO, the blog. Yeah, could you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so I used to get into it, and I say used to, I still do get into it on Twitter with other SEOs and things and stuff. And this was probably like 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer than that at this point. Probably like 2010 or 2009 or something like that. Rand Fishkin on Twitter got into a bit of an argument with me and ended up blocking me as well as a result of it, to be fair. But I kind of showed some case studies, and he wasn't exactly happy with the manipulation that I'd done with Google and all this sort of stuff and things. So he essentially turned around on Twitter and was like, "Oh, you really think you're the god of SEO, don't you?" And I was like, "Right, I'm running with that." So I just took the name from basically an argument with someone on Twitter, registered I think godofseo.com is like $10,000 or $20,000. And I was like, right, I'm not that level of troll yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not spending $20,000 on a domain to set up what at the time was originally a bit of a troll site. So I bought godofseo.co. I just started blogging on it in kind of a light-hearted way and things as well. And it really just blew up. Like within the first 2 months, 3 months or something, I was doing like 25, 30,000 page views every month on the site. And back then that was a hell of a lot more than it is today kind of thing, especially in the SEO and internet marketing space. So it kind of just, it took off from there. And then because I was posting so much on this blog, Matthew Woodward, who is another massive digital marketer in the space and things, he contacted me. We got kind of chatting online. I ended up being the first ever person to guest post on his blog. His blog at the time was doing over 1 million page views a month. And before I got to guest post on there, and I wrote a 12,500 word guide on ranking for Rand Fishkin's name, basically. So I thought So I thought, because I take the God of SEO stuff, right, I wanted to make sure that my first like real big case study was a thank you to Rand. So I started ranking for his name, and also I ranked for like Moz and SEO Moz and all these other keywords. And I was number 2 as well, with just spam backlinks basically. And it took me like about 6 weeks or something. I wrote up the entire case study, exactly how I did it, the services I used, the tools I used, the content that I did it with, how I made the site, everything for a Matthew Woodward post. It's still on the site, I'm pretty sure. That post blew up in the SEO community. As a result of it, I got about 20 or 30 different consultancy gigs. I got a client that was like between £5,000 and £10,000 a month. So I really just blew up off of that singular post, and then it gave me inspiration to continue building my career from there, really.
How are things with Rand now?
I'm still blocked, so
okay. Not much to do there.
I can also respect that since he has left Moz, because obviously the beef, whatever Rand and I had, and like, I think that was his terminology, not mine, in all fairness, was like 10 years ago now, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even like 12 years ago in some cases and stuff now. I think it was at a time as well when Moz was very much so leaning into a Google-friendly environment. And it might have been because Google might have had some vetted interests in Moz, shall we say, in terms of their first round of funding. So Rand was very much so pro-Google in terms of the Moz days, and he would make sure that all of the blog posts and stuff were within Google's guidelines and things like that and stuff. And he stopped doing like Black-hat case studies, and he stopped doing page for links case studies and stuff, even though it worked massively well. And then as soon as he left Moz, or kind of got removed from Moz, shall we say, he ended up being the opposite. So he's kind of true to himself again. And I appreciate that. And I like that. And I like that he is kind of saying his mind. And if he had unblocked me, I'm sure I would have been retweeting a lot of the stuff that he's been saying recently. His
loss. I know you're doing a bunch of things now, but what are the main things you're working on right now?
Yeah, so consultancy is definitely the biggest one in terms of just daily input and output and things. My portfolio of sites, my courses. I'm currently Gumroad, that I have been on for the last 3 or 4 years, and made over $1 million on Gumroad in the last 4 years.
Holy hell!
Yeah, it's increasing its fees from what I currently have got on a 2.7% plus 30% transaction fee, or 10% transaction fee, or something like that, and which I earned, bear in mind. So currently there is a tier system, and for the last few years and things, there's been a tier system that the more you earn from the platform, the lower commission rates you pay. And I did a lot of extra work to earn that lower tier rate so that I get more money, right? And unfortunately, they're just cutting that all away and making everyone pay a flat 10%. So I'm 4xing my fees on the platform.
Yeah.
Come about a week from now or so, at the end of January, I'm basically just having to move to my own custom solution. So I'm doing a Shopify build. And I'm looking to kind of move over to that. So I've got the consultancy, got courses, got my portfolio of sites. And then I also just do bits and pieces of like SEO testing and SEO theorization and reading and writing. I do free ebooks, free blog posts occasionally. I speak at conferences. Even though I actually run my own conferences and stuff now. I'm doing a 450 man event in July in the UK, and then I'm doing another 125 man event in Phuket in November. So that should be based on the one that I've just ran in November already. So, and that was a sold out, great successful event as well.
How many hours a day are you working?
Oh yeah, so I work like 80 to 90 hours a week. Yeah, so yeah, I'm tired.
But you love it.
Yeah, well, so this is what I normally do: is I'll work stupid hours for sets of periods at a time, and then I'll just take off time and not do anything. Yeah. So like over the holiday period for about 3 or 4 weeks, I just didn't do anything. Like literally I didn't work. I didn't like speak to anybody. I just like sat at home eating loads of food, watching like crap TV and just chilling out with my girlfriend and my family and stuff. Went and saw loads of shows and things and stuff like that. So I'll generally try and work for like 3 or 4 months at a time, and then just chill for a month or so, try and go on holiday or something like that.
I want to talk about BlackHat because you're definitely known for a lot of your black hat techniques. What type of black hat things are you still doing? What do you see still works? I started off in SEO by building tiny PBN and trying to rank, basically getting into like the rank and rent models for dentists. And that worked phenomenally well. That was in 2016 that I started building PBNs. What are you doing in the black hat world now, and what still works?
Right. So I think it much so depends on what your definition of black hat is, right? So I have always and forever will always be buying and selling backlinks. And that's another part of my business that I kind of forgot to include as well. I'm always either buying links, selling links, or middlemaning links for something, or being the recommender for something. So a lot of people just come to me like, hey, I need this service, and this service. Who's the best in the industry for it? And in general, because I've been buying links and have known everyone in the link building industry for at least 10 years, I know exactly who to go to straight away for basically anything. And at this point as well, I know it in every language as well. So if you want to know French, the best French link building providers, I know the top 3 there. You want to know the best German ones, I know the top 3 there. You want to know the best in basically about 15, 20 different languages and stuff. I've kind of picked up all of this knowledge and stuff over time. And as a result, I can buy and sell links on just about, like, I think I tried to compare about how many sites I had of the top 1 million majestic, right? And it's something like 800,000 of the top million I can probably buy or sell a link on. So,
Jesus. Okay. What about, so in terms of link building, are there any like types of methods, any strategies that you're doing in terms of link building, or is it just flat out? I mean, I guess at this point, everybody, you can just basically get any link that you need, right?
Yeah. So a lot of what I do at the moment is trying to just be extremely ROI focused. So a lot of link building services as well were like, hey, can you give me a testimonial and I'll give you like $1,000 or $2,000 in credit for the link service. And so I'll try and use those links instead of actually paying for things and stuff in the longer term, so that my projects have got a lot higher ROI. And then when I come to, because I do a lot of flipping as well, right? So my portfolio moves a lot of the time. It's not ever static, right? If months in, months out, I'm normally buying a site, selling a site, changing a site, doing something, closing one down because it completely failed or something, just some reason like that. Even to the extent recently, I'm guessing it's due to the ongoing economic downturn / recession. A lot of like affiliate programs have just been closing. And as a result, I just haven't been wanting to take the time to go and apply and change 1,000 bloody affiliate links on a site that makes $300 a month or something, when I have a portfolio of 30 to 50 sites at a time. So it's a lot of it has just been, I've left a lot of my portfolio to kind of rot over the last few years, unfortunately. Yeah. And so what I've been doing recently is just changing up a lot of the focuses of those sites that have got declining revenue over the last year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, and trying to turn them into link farms. So just to sell more links from, basically. And I've been creating a system that essentially automates link sales now. So there's either like a write for us or some kind of variation of that form on the site, or it's your contact forms, or it's email, which we try to make more publicly available via certain things so that scrapers can pick it up and things. As soon as someone emails asking for a link, a delayed email is sent back 30 minutes, an hour later saying, here's the price. If they say, yeah, okay, we'll at that price. And I've started setting it up so that if they try to negotiate, it will hopefully successfully negotiate with them using AI basically as well, using AI script from OpenAPI DaVinci model. And then eventually I want to try and make sure that it all feeds into multiple payment systems and that kind of stuff. At the moment, it's just PayPal with my joint venture on the link side of things, sales business partners PayPal account. He's using, I think it's called like Outbrain or something like that. It's like PayPal's enterprise level edition client. And it allows you to have way deeper API access and things like that and stuff. So we've been feeding that into it, which allows us to like create custom invoices and things if they just give us the company name and address and stuff like that, and the email and stuff and things like that. So we've been automating link sales to the point that we're selling maybe like 10 to 20 links per day without sending a single email or doing anything ourselves now.
Damn.
So we're trying to get to the point where obviously that's 10, 20 times that, and we can have a real insanely autopiloted link selling business that's making like $10,000 a day or something. But obviously it's just at a point of scale at that point, and we need to add in more domains and stuff like that and things. Because at the moment we're just using mine and his like kind of dead blogs that we kind of stopped doing the projects on. So it's a load of random niches and things. And if we kind of tightened up the niches, did more stuff in like finance, crypto, health, home, we'd probably be able to make the average link sale go up from like, at the moment we're selling links for like $40 to $60 on average. If we did those niches, we could probably get it over $100 average. So
here's a bit of a generic question for you. What makes a good backlink?
So it would depend on the backlink type as well, right? Yeah. So I would just say the easiest answer to what makes a good backlink is if it passes a signal that impacts the rankings of the website, either generically as a whole, so your entire root authority is affected, and thus you rank higher on every single keyword, or you statistically rank higher across the board, or it individually impacts you for a page's cluster of keywords that backlink could send specific signals for. So those would be my kind of two main definitions. But again, it really depends on backlink type. So if you're doing, guest posts, niche edits, things like that, it's obviously going to be more of an direct impact kind of type of signal. Whereas if you're doing things like social profiles or citations or something like that, it's going to be a more indirect approach, as well as the fact that some backlinks can help you rank in like GMB and for featured snippets and things like that and stuff, which aren't necessarily SERP, directly organically related kind of things as well.
And so what are like the three? So let's say someone's new to link building, right? And they have a couple options of backlinks that they can get. What are the 2-3 main things that they need to look for? I think one of the first ones is making sure that link isn't being placed on an orphan page. That's something that I think not a lot of people talk about, that I think is super important. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with orphan links and stuff, especially. A lot of people will spend $300, $500, $1,000 on a guest post, and then it has no internal links, no social signals, no comments, no additional signals to that page that would then make the signal from that page to your page stronger. And it can be true for really, really high authority sites, right? I would rather have a niche relevant link on a DR30 guest post that has got 100 RD and is ranking for 1,000 keywords than I would off of a Forbes article that ranks for nothing and has no RD, right? So it's all kind of relative depending on that kind of thing. But I totally agree that orphan links are something that nobody really bakes into their campaign, and that nobody really tries to make sure that they're abusing, because essentially it's also a lot of what tiered link building is, right? So a lot of people review their link building to try and build links at their new links instead of looking at existing links and things like that. For example, I had a client in consultancy. He was a skincare client. He had links from like Cosmo and New York Times and all these like Home and Garden and Good Home Magazine and all these big health websites. I think it had a WebMD link, all of this stuff, right? But most of those links that he had didn't have many links themselves. So all we did was went and got $30 link insertions, built like 10, 20 across, 5 or 6 of these really high DR, high authority links. And it immediately impacted them so much so that the pages that they were linking to increased by about 300 or 320% in organic traffic. Just because we kind of activated the signal from that link, because previously it was, like I said, an orphan link. The other thing I think people really overlook is foundational links and entity stacking. Yeah. So entity stacking is something that hardly anybody seems to talk about in SEO, and foundational link building is just the foundations of a website. And a lot of people seem to skip over it, or they ignore it, or they have built a website to the point where they're like, oh, I'm doing 10,000 visits a month. I don't need to make my Twitter profile anymore. I don't need to make all this other stuff anymore. You do, actually. So I would highly recommend that you get all of your foundational and entity level links completed. And that essentially just means that you're creating links on sites that tell Google more about your business and validate the authenticity and the trust and things in your business. And it's you can call it EAT, you can call it trust signals, you can call it whatever you want to do. But essentially what it is reinforcing the entity, which is your brand, behind the domain name. So it's just making sure that your domain and your entity and your brand is as trusted, as verified, as authenticated, and as powerful in Google's eyes as possible.
Yeah.
And that allows you to rank for a lot of additional terms. And I've actually been doing recent studies and recent case studies and things where we only use these types of links. And bear in mind, 95%, even in some cases 99% of them are going to be no follow, right? So they shouldn't theoretically be passing signals and juice and stuff. I've used only this link type so that the sites are like a DR5 or a DR4 and things. And we've been able to rank for YMYL terms quite easily. So I do think it takes into account these kind of trust signals, even more so in some cases than it does the juice signals for backlinks.
So in terms of foundational links, I'm thinking social links. I'm thinking citations, Google My Business, which I think is Google Business Profile now. Anything else? What other types of foundational links?
So you can do anything. Things like a press release is super underrated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of press release services that are actually really decent, and you can embed your GMB and you can link to your social profiles, so you can build your social fortress up, and you can do all this additional stuff with the press release. There's sites like Zoom Info and Crunchbase and things like that, where you can create information about your company, even LinkedIn pages about your company, all stuff like that. And it's feeding into Google's knowledge base, and it's feeding into Google's knowledge panels and things that you see in there. Any sites that you see in Google's knowledge panel, or any sites, this is another tactic that I'm actually using as well. Getting my keyword research VAs just to note down every site that is in the featured snippet when they're doing keyword research for any topic, and then trying to get links from those sites, because Google has if a site is currently in the featured snippet, especially after last year's featured snippet bans, which happened, Google essentially believes that they're a topical authority, in my opinion anyway. So trying to get links from them is putting you on the same topical and link graph as what Google believes are the trusted sites in that area, or in that topic and in that niche and in that cluster. So I've been trying to build links from those sites as well quite a lot. And that plays into the same kind of thing as well.
What about a bad backlink, a toxic backlink? What should people, especially a lot of people that are getting into link building, what should they be avoiding, right? What are those clear signs that link is gonna hurt you? Right.
So it's really difficult to say what is a toxic link, right? In general, there's 3 levels of signals you can have, right? So you can have positive, neutral, and toxic. Toxic is rarer than the other 2, in my opinion. So Google has just straight up blanket neutralized a lot of links these days. And especially like there's some massive sites that sell links on a massive scale, like things like marketwatch.com. You can buy, like, I think every one of them and their grandma has been buying links off that site for the last like 5 or 6 years. And in my opinion, Google's just neutralized the link that you can get from them.
Right.
So any link signals that we've tested from that website, so when we bought an edit on it, when we bought a press release on it, when we bought a guest post on it, an editorial, nowadays they just don't seem to be passing signals at all. So that would be a case of it being neutralized rather than being toxic. In terms of toxic links, that's going to be things like PBNs that have got hit really, really nastily. Anything that is from sites that have got huge algorithmic drops, anything that have got manual penalties, especially de-indexations and things like that. Theoretically, Google says that when they de-index a website, it's de-indexed, so it shouldn't pass any signals. But I've either had access to or been the recipient of a lot of Google de-indexations in my time as an SEO, and been the target personally of them as well from Google.
Really?
Twice on 2 different occasions. So Google's actually come after my own websites and things, and my own Google accounts and my AdWords and analytics and everything and stuff. Even my Gmails got banned and things on 2 separate occasions as well. So I do see where people need to be a bit more safety cautious about making sure that what links they're buying are going to be up to scratch, and making sure that anything is just above board, really. And then and especially asking the questions to the vendors or to the site owners or to whoever you're buying links off. People just don't ask enough questions in the first place. They don't vet anything. And if you did a simple Ahrefs search or SEMrush search or whatever, and 2 minutes of emailing, you'd probably know a hell of a lot more information if you really wanted to buy this link or not, or these links even, if you're doing it through a service and things as well. Really vet your services as much as you can. And then just make sure that you are regularly analyzing and auditing your backlinks and stuff, because it can be a really big spiraling issue to have, especially a lot of companies tend to bounce between SEO agencies. So there's no cohesion and there's no consistency in link building campaigns. And some agencies are going to be building citations, some are going to be building Harrow, some are going to be building PBNs. And you end up with this just completely messed up pile of crap that is just like got to be sifted through a bloody filter for hours at a time. And a lot of the time it's a game of just cat and mouse and making sure you're keeping up with whatever good links you have and making sure they're sticking there and they're not getting deleted or no followed or 301 or whatever by whatever bloggers are trying to get away with these days. And then making sure that you are removing the bad links either by disavowing them or contacting sites to remove them, and making sure they are toxic in the first place. Because like I said, they could be neutral and they could be nothing to worry about.
Yep. What if, let's say I'm again a complete link building beginner and I have no money. I'm not willing to pay for links. How do I do link building for free apart from those foundational links that we spoke about? Yeah,
so you can do link building for free. It's just the level of success you'll see is massively niche dependent, right? So if you're going to be doing it for like your local construction business that is like doing roofing or something like that, it's going to be really quite difficult to get other sites to link to a roofing site for free, right? Unless you go and start creating 20,000 word ultra amazing piece of content with all of these graphics and video and all of this kind of stuff in one piece, and that might get you 12 really good links or something. It's really difficult for those kind of niches to do it in the first place. It becomes a lot more easy in specific niches, right? So whilst travel is going to be one where 70, 80, 90% of the people are going to ask you for money, there's still going to be that 10% that if your post is good enough, and the better your posts are and the better informational content, the better supporting content and better things like that you have, and the better link bait that you have is, the more people are going to reply and say yes to linking to your content for free. And the travel niche is going to be one that's going to be super easy because there's everyone and their mom again does travel blogging and stuff, and there's just so many out there that you will eventually find people to do it. And then you can use free tools. There's like Gmass, which is a Gmail plugin, Chrome add-on, that you can use for Gmail. It basically does all of the premium outreach tools features for you. You can get a free hunter.io account. I think it's like 500 or 1,000 site lookups per month. And if you're doing link building on a kind of smaller scale, looking up 1,000 sites and emailing 1,000 sites should be enough to get you your first handful of links that you're trying to get in a campaign. And that should be good enough, at the start. Just getting your first link, getting your first 2-3 links is going to be a massive achievement for most people, especially if you're getting it for free.
Yep. It's great advice. What do you think is the most undervalued link tactic? I think we kind of spoke about it. Mine, again, is that orphan page, as in making sure that you're not getting your links on orphan pages.
Yeah, so I would say link velocity is probably one that people just massively overlook. In general, I've seen people, a lot of the time, what they'll do is they'll go in and put in orders with 3 different link agencies. They'll buy 10 guest posts from this guy, 20 link insertions from this guy, and a 50 foundational link pack or something from this guy. And in general, what will happen is those link providers will go and build all of those links in one day or in the course of 2 or 3 days. And you've now got all of these overlapping, unnatural, massive amounts of unnatural link signals coming in to potentially either a fresh domain or a domain that hasn't previously had that level of link velocity before. So I'm more of a fan of trying to buy one link at a time or trying to drip feed campaigns and things like that. Bear in mind that the more pages that you're linking to and the more pages that you have on your website and the bigger your website is, the higher levels of link velocity you can get away with, right? So if someone has 10 pages on their site and 10 blog posts, going and building 100 links at that site is going to look pretty dodgy if you do it in a day, right? But if someone's got 100,000 pages and 1 million blog posts, building 100 links in a day doesn't seem that bad anymore, right?
Right.
So it's all relative to that kind of stuff. But link velocity is one that people massively overlook, and it's one that will create triggers on your site to get you algorithmically hit or potentially manually reviewed. Ratedshub.org, make sure that they don't come after you.
Mm-hmm. What about no follow backlinks? Like having a straight up, like in content, no follow backlinks. Your thoughts on that?
Right. So Google has actually confirmed that they can pass link juice as of November 2019, I believe it was. Google engineers on Twitter, I had a bit of an argument with them about it. Confirmed. Yeah. So I have been saying for a long time, since they made the announcement that they turned no follow into a hint directive, that no follow links became slightly more powerful or whatever, and slightly more powerful in SEO terms, because obviously you're trying to get a campaign which has got 100 different signals creating different jumps. Having a slightly bigger jump on one of those signals can be massive for the overall campaign. So I ended up posting on Twitter about how if you build these no-follow links, they can actually pass juice and rank the site on their own if they're activated, right? So in general, if you have got an orphan, for example, an orphan no-follow link, which doesn't have any internal links, doesn't have any backlinks, doesn't have any social signals, doesn't have any signals to the page, that's probably going to still be a no-follow link, right? It won't pass any juice. But if that page has got a load of signals, it's ranking for keywords, it's on a massively high authority site, all of these additional factors and things, then there's ample reason and ample data from my own tests and things and from other SEOs test experiments that in fact that can pass juice equal or in some cases more so than do-follow links can. And a lot of the times, even before Google did that in November 2019, we were still using no-follow backlinks for trust signal manipulation. So we would always say to people, make sure you're baking in no-follow links to build these trust signals that you can get kind of naturally in the SERPs anyway, as well as for kind of link velocity and for link pillowing as well. So
amazing. I've heard you speak quite a bit about Parasite SEO. Could you give us a little breakdown of what that is and how people can take advantage of Parasite SEO?
Right. So Parasite SEO is essentially using somebody else's domain name that has got a higher level of authority to create a page on that domain name. Think things like BuzzFeed, which you can be a contributor for by just logging into an account, making a post on BuzzFeed, and it'll be on the root domain of BuzzFeed. Think even things like Facebook pages, Blogspot accounts, anything like that. In general, you're trying to get sites that are utilizing the root domain's authority so that you can automatically rank, so you can bypass additional filters and things, and that you can build higher levels of links, higher levels of link velocity, all of this kind of stuff at the page that you wouldn't normally be able to do at a page on your own website that wouldn't have the same level of authoritativeness. For a long time, I've just been using it for online reputation management more than anything. So if people, for example, in the US, I've been doing a lot of bankruptcy filings. So a lot of people who have gone bankrupt in the US, it's made public. It's like some public notice from a bankruptcy database, which is kind of messed up in the first place. It's like telling people, well, you failed in capitalism. You know? Here you go with a public notice to everybody. But anyway, that aside, it can really obviously screw up people's work prospects and business opportunities in the future if someone's Googling your name, which everybody does nowadays, to try and get some information about you. And the first thing that comes up is that you've been bankrupt. Or even if it's the third option, it's still going to be the first thing people click on. So a lot of people will pay serious money to get that on page 3, rather than having it on number 3 or position 3 for their name. So what we'll do is we'll just create 50, 100 different pages about their name, whether it be social profiles, editorials, Web 2.0s, citations, loads of different link kind of opportunities. And then we'll just be doing a lot of link spam and manipulation and stuff on the back end, because these sites are already authoritative to rank them, that you wouldn't normally be able to deal with that kind of levels of link building at a regular or a fresh website at all, because it would just get hit and it would get hit pretty badly. Wow.
So this is something that you're actively doing for a bunch of clients, I guess, just helping them clean up the search results for their name or their brand.
Yeah. So it's just a one-time fee service. Right. I've done it for a couple of years now, probably done it for like between like 6 and 8 people or something like that. You can charge a lot of money for it. And it's not super expensive to carry out, right? It's also a bit of an ego thing as well. So on the opposite side of things as well, there's a lot of people that are trying to build a personal brand and then have cash. And then I have, to be fair, I haven't done many of them. I've done maybe like 1 or 2 guys that are looking for more PR level stuff. But in general, a lot of millionaires and stuff are realizing that actually, if I want to get myself in like Forbes, or if I want to get myself in this, I should go to the SEO guy, because he can get the editorial for 4 times cheaper than the PR guy can. So a lot of the time I've been actually being quite selling a lot of these kind of editorials and PR, or just middlemanning it, or just referring someone to get that link and all that editorial, whatever, for people. And like I do it for myself as well. So you'll see a couple times on Google, there's my own articles about me and things and stuff like that.
What does an SEO strategy look like for you? And actually, I want to tie this in with let me just tie this in with, if you have a brand new website, because I think it might be a very similar answer. If you have a brand new website, what are you doing the first 100 days, right? What does that holistic SEO work look like?
Holistic SEO or just link building?
I want to say just everything, like all of SEO. What does that look like for you? Because obviously you're not just doing link building, right? I assume you're writing content and there's a lot more going on. So
a lot of people do builds differently to how I do them. And I prefer my way of doing them.
I'd love to hear.
I have the first minus 100 days rather than the first 100 days.
Okay.
So we build the entire website, all the clusters, all the lead magnets, the email funnels, the CRO. We do all of that before we put the website live.
Really?
So we build the entire site and make it perfect, and make all of the so we get like Ahrefs audit scores of like 99 out of 100 on sites, on staging sites that aren't live. So as soon as we put the site live, it's got like 100 pages, 100 blog posts, all of some links already going to it, all of that kind of stuff finished and done, the schema done, the content done, the internal linking done, the monetization done, everything ready and sorted to go. So that as soon as Google indexes the site, they can index the entire site, they can index the entire cluster, and our overall quality score, if that's what you kind of want to, there is, in Google's patents, they do literally call it quality score, but I do think it's slightly evolved beyond that, and it's not going to be, your 0 to 100 kind of thing that people will automatically assume in their head. But for rationale's sake, let's go with the 0 to 100 thing, right? Yeah. And say that if people were doing the first 0 to 100 days and they were building the site from scratch, doing a blog post a day, doing link building, doing all the pages, that kind of stuff, from day 1 to day 100, their quality score would go from maybe 2 on average for the entire website to like 90, right? But our quality score from day 0 to 100 goes from like 90 to 92 or 93 or something. So we've immediately got the quality score. We've immediately got the topical authority, the topical cluster, and some links already going to it and things. So that generally allows us to rank immediately. And we've got sites that we've put in the indexing. We use indexing API, and bear in mind the indexing API documentation is a load of rubbish. Most of Google's documentation is a load of rubbish, to be honest. The indexing API will tell you can only submit images and videos through pages through it. That's nonsense. You can submit any page through the indexing API. We've submit like 50 gigabyte, 100 gigabyte sites in one day before that have just gone live and stuff, and it's indexed them through it. So we use that to just get everything indexed in day 1, set up GSC, set up analytics, everything is done. And then in some cases, the next day we're getting visitors from organic traffic.
Holy hell.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so I'm guessing this is the same process you have for all the niche websites. You're just building
any website that I build now, yeah. And specifically in foreign SEO, it just kills it. Like, really? So it's sometimes I've thought, like, I built a $5,000 to $10,000 website. I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to spend 15, 25K on links to get this to rank. I've had to spend like 2K on links, 3K links, because it's immediately gone to like page 2 in the first month. And then all it needed was a handful of links to a page here and a page there, and then some overall link authority and the foundational links and stuff like that. All it needed was that to rank the entire website. So I think I can't remember what it specifically is in Google's patents, but from what I can recall, it's something like first time to index or something like that. And it literally just means the first ever time Google has indexed your site is then the historical comparison as your baseline for your site, right? So from the first ever index and crawl to index of your website, so the process of them crawling your website and then the processed crawl turns into an index, that first ever time, if you are really high levels of quality score, if you're really high levels of this, Google's going to use that baseline for at least the next 2 years, because that's how long Google's cache is, or how big their cache is. It's a 2-year cache, and it's a comparative cache. So they do use their cache in comparison to your existing pages and in comparison to other pages and things like that. So if you can try and make sure that your cache is sorted for that entire time, and if you can make sure that your first time to index and your first index is the highest it can possibly be, then your baseline for the next however much time is going to be higher than everyone else's baseline is currently. Right, and you're going to be able to rank just a lot easier and a lot better. And literally, like I've said, this is why I've kind of done this for my flipping model, because if I did the 0 to 1, so I call it. So most people do the 0 to 100 day model because it was a challenge like 5 or 6 or maybe like 15 years ago or something online, which was like 0 to 100, make your first $1,000 or something in 100 days or something online. And that's what people mostly base on that. I just call it the minus 100 day challenge, basically, which is just in the 100 days before you launch the site, you make the site perfect and you build it to the best possible site it can be before you launch it.
That's so interesting. I don't think I'd ever heard of anybody building things like that. Yeah. Sounds like it works.
But yeah, so if you do the opposite way, the 0 to 100 day method, it will take you it will take you a minimum of 12 months to rank. And when you sell websites, they want 6 to 12 month averages, right? If I can basically do, my methodology allows me to do the same level of ranking in the first 2 months as it would take them the first 12 months of the 0 to 100 methodology. Then it allows me to sell the website a year sooner than I would have been able to do in the other process as well.
Can you talk to us about some of the SEO testing you're doing? You don't have to review absolutely everything, but just maybe a couple results that you've seen or any conclusions that you can share.
I'm not sure about conclusions because I try to keep a lot of what works close to my chest. But I've been doing a lot of stuff with redirects lately, and they've been making a comeback, especially since I would say it's really weird, right? Google's last month, Google did the Spam Brain update, which apparently was supposed to be targeting unnatural links and stuff like that. And the number one thing, in all fairness, right, it was an impactful update. It did seemingly hit PBNs. It did seemingly hit niche edits. It did seemingly hit quite a lot of stuff, and quite a lot of people were affected. Quite a lot of people dropped 50% traffic and things like that from the update. That being said, I also saw a lot of sites that previously had been getting hit in updates for using redirects, especially en masse redirects, like, you're talking 20, 30, 40 plus domains redirected at one domain. They've made a massive comeback and they've started working again. So in the last month or so, I've just been seeing some of my sites and some of my test sites that are utilizing redirects, whether it be off-site or on-site redirects. The traffic graphs are just hockey sticking. So it's like, bam, everything's like 4x, 5x traffic because the redirects are now kicking in and everything's working for some reason.
Damn, that's really interesting. What about AI content for SEO? Obviously, extremely trendy right now. What are your thoughts? Are you using any AI content tools? What are your thoughts on that whole space right now? Yeah,
so I've been generating content with DaVinci models and doing kind of programmatic plus AI content builds for about 6 to 8 months now. In all fairness, the only ones that are really working are like JVs. Like I have a few sites that are, to be fair, I have a few pages on sites that aren't AI, but I put AI pages on them that are like either 80 or 90% AI, and then I've edited it or an editor's edited it, and they're killing it. Like some of those pages are making like $1,000, $2,000 a month off one page. Whereas the sites that I've actually seen a lot of success with, in terms of a lot more than that, because $1,000 a month isn't that much, is with JV partners, where I've been able to work with people who are a lot better at development and stuff like that. I'm a decent PyDev. I'm decent at C#, decent at HTML, crap at PHP, crap at a lot of other languages and stuff that I've tried to do. I started learning code with lol code, bear in mind. So that would tell developers all they need to know about me.
Yeah.
And then I've been able to work with people who are a lot better at the programmatic build side of things, and I'm a lot better at the AI generated content side of things, and just general on-page SEO and link building strategies and stuff like that. And we're able to see some serious success. Got one site that's now doing over 100,000 visits a month in a quite competitive niche. And that site's on track to do like over 10K a month pretty soon. So that's super amazing considering the amount of time and input we actually put into building this site, because it's replicatable. This is the thing, right? So as soon as it takes forever to build the systems and the processes, API coding into this and that and everything, making sure that everything's validated, make sure everything, the inputs and the outputs are good and everything's all this kind of stuff. And it is a nightmare getting it all set up. But once you've actually got it, then it's just a kind of a money printing machine, right? That's essentially what is going to happen for a lot of people, and it's happening directly right now for a lot of black hats and stuff who have got put in the work and currently are building all these sites. And there's no reason that if I didn't go and buy 10 or 20 age domains tomorrow and spend the next 2 weeks solidly building them out with these AI content tools and stuff, that we wouldn't be able to have like $100,000 a month in sales from AI content sites and stuff. Or revenue, from AI content sites. So it's definitely a massive market that I only see growing. And GPT-4 is looking like it's a lot more impressive than GPT-3. And to be fair, I haven't been the biggest fan of ChatGPT. I've just been using OpenAI APIs for ages now. So
works super well.
I've still been using that. And then DaVinci 3, I just did a tweet earlier about how I can use like DaVinci 3 Playground, so I don't even have to use API and do additional stuff. So there's things like logic bias and all sorts of things that you can program into it, which makes the randomness of your tokens even more crazy and things like that, which makes the output even more undetectable. But I've just been doing the set data set settings and slightly adapted settings inside of Playground and getting 100% originality scores on every single tool.
Nice.
So, and also getting it indexed and ranking in Google with slight edits. So I definitely see there's a massive potential and stuff. But I'm not even sure if it's necessarily going to be kind of content based. It could be all sorts of other things. Like I'm seeing a lot of tools coming out for video, for images, for email, for chatbots, all of this stuff, which seems more usable, to be honest, than like just black hats, mass generating sites and stuff is for actual businesses and things like that. And that's where I would probably like to invest some more time and money into, because I think that's where you'll see the real returns. And I don't know if you saw the case study from Sean Hill recently, where if you go to Sean Hill's a really good SEO, works at Forbes. He's on Twitter. Him and another SEO called Alex, who's based in London. Sean built a ChatGPT alternative kind of tool. It's based on API. It's slightly different in how you ask it questions and things. It has better outputs and stuff like that. Alex said, "Hey, look, I really like this tool," in a tweet reply to him in the day that Sean had launched it, but flagged all these problems that Sean had in the tool. They fixed them together in the next day, and then the day after that, the site got acquired for $10,000.
Oh my god!
In 3 days, they did a $10,000 project. So
insane.
And he case studied it all on Twitter, so you can just Google Sean Hill Twitter SEO. He'll come up. He's got a cartoon avatar.
Yeah, we'll definitely check him out. Closely connected to AI content. This is the last question here. What do you think SEO is going to look like in 2023? What do you think is the future of SEO?
So the future of SEO is slightly different to 2023. 2023, I don't see a massive amount of stuff happening. Probably there's going to be more helpful content updates coming out, maybe 2 this year, that will probably increase the Google's ability to actually look at quality content. But again, it doesn't really affect a lot of the stuff we're doing, because I'm either doing mass page stuff, which generally gets hit by updates anyway on randomly, and you need to sporadically rebuild stuff. And it's kind of more churn and burn style anyway. Or in SEO, which generally doesn't get impacted as nearly as much by these kind of NLP style updates as English language SERPs do. And then my English style stuff is more e-com and things like that. And I'm actually super white hat in that kind of environment. So I don't think it's a super level of risk when it comes to helpful content updates. And I think they will be dropping a lot more of them this year. And then I don't think there's going to be a lot of other updates that are going to be super impactful like there has been in previous years, to the level of things like Panda, Penguin, Medic, all of those updates that have had serious kind of industry changing impacts. I don't see that happening in the next couple of years, just because number one, Google's like laying off, I think they laid off 18% last year. They just laid off another 12% this year.
12K or something.
Yeah, so I think they laid off like even more than that last year. So they're trying to cut costs. They're trying to make it more efficient. They're not investing in search tech nearly as much as they are investing in ads tech and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really see them making as massive a change with a significantly smaller budget and team and capabilities as well, because a lot of the tech is already there, and it's kind of gradual, inconsequential gains with the technology at this point, whereas it was kind of game-changing technology over the previous 10, 20 years.
Damn, Charles, this was super valuable. I appreciate you taking the time. And, thanks for all the gems, all the SEO gems. Appreciate it. For
sure, 100%. And if you want to follow me on Twitter,
where can people reach you?
Yeah, no worries. I'm mainly on Twitter, so you can just at Charles_SEO. You can also go to my site, charlesfloate.com, but I don't really do anything on there. And then you can go to charlesfloate.gumroad.com for all of my training and consultancy.
Amazing. Appreciate it, Charles.
Thanks, no worries.